What if I told you that the difference between becoming wealthy or staying broke for the rest of your life comes down to how you handle just $1? It's not 1,000, not 10,000, just one single dollar? That sounds ridiculous, right? Most people think building wealth requires a huge salary, a perfect investment strategy, or some secret knowledge that only the rich possess. But here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody talks about. Your relationship with small money reveals everything about your financial future. A groundbreaking study followed thousands of people for over 20 years and discovered something shocking: the way someone treats loose change, small purchases. And insignificant amounts of money is the most accurate predictor of their long-term financial success. It's more accurate than their income, more accurate than their education. It's more accurate than their family background. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good, because that discomfort means you're about to learn something that could change everything. Right now, you're probably thinking about that coffee you bought this morning, or that subscription you forgot to cancel, or those small purchases that don't really matter. Well, what if I told you they matter more than you ever imagined? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how wealthy people think about money differently, and how you can start applying those same principles today. Regardless of how much or how little you're earning right now, the study that revealed everything, most people don't realize this. But a study from the University of Cambridge revealed that a person's financial habits start forming by the age of 7. That explains why so many adults repeat money patterns they learned just by watching their parents, even if no one ever explicitly talked about money at home. That tendency to blow your paycheck over the weekend, it's often a deeply ingrained behavior. The scariest part, most folks don't even notice they're stuck in a loop. It's like running a program in the background without knowing. The study looked at people with different income levels and found that the real difference isn't in how much you make, it's in how you treat small amounts of money. The wealthy were surprisingly intentional even with just $1, while others dismissed it like it was nothing. But that mindset, whether you respect $1 or not, says everything about how you'll handle 1,000 or even 1 million. I noticed this myself when I started making more money. But my bank account didn't reflect it. What changed everything? Realizing I was casually spending $5 a day on things like snacks or random apps. That's over $150 a month. Money that could have been growing in a high-yield savings account or a conservative ETF like Vanguard's VU. But that's just scratching the surface. What comes next will really challenge the way you think about daily money habits. What rich people do with $1, here's where things get interesting. When someone with a wealthy mindset gets $1, they don't see it as just a dollar. They see a seed, a small but mighty opportunity. That dollar might go into a savings account, an investment, or even just sit in a money jar with a purpose. It's not about the amount, it's about the intention. They understand something simple but powerful. If you can't manage $1, you won't manage 10,000. Take Warren Buffett, for example. When he was a kid, he bought a 6-pack of Coke bottles for 25 cents and sold each one for 5 cents. Profit? 5 cents per pack? That's how billion-dollar thinking begins, not by winning the lottery, but by respecting cents. Most rich people started with very little, but they made sure every dollar had a job, even if it was just earning a few cents of interest. That discipline becomes automatic over time. Now, imagine this. Instead of buying a coffee every morning for dollars, what if someone invested that into an index fund? After 20 years, that could turn into tens of thousands of dollars, literally. That's not magic. It's compound interest and consistency. And while rich people do this instinctively, those stuck in survival mode often do the opposite. And that's exactly what we're about to explore in the next part. What broke people do with $1? Now, let's flip the coin. When someone with a scarcity mindset gets $1, it often disappears without a second thought. It might go toward a soda, a lottery ticket, or something they don't even remember buying. It's not that the item itself is the problem, it's the mindset behind it. For them, $1 feels useless, so they treat it that way. But over time, that casual neglect adds up to financial chaos. It's the same pattern over and over. Paycheck comes in, expenses go out, and at the end of the month there's nothing left. Not because they don't earn enough, but because there's no strategy, no intention. A friend once told me, "It's just $5, what difference does it make?" I smiled and said, "That's exactly why you're broke." $1 might not change your life today, but how you treat it reveals if you're building or breaking your future. Picture this. Someone who spends $3 a day on snacks might not realize they're spending over $1,000 a year. That's money that could fund an emergency fund, a trip, or the start of an investment portfolio. But because it's spent in small bits, it feels harmless. That's the trap. It's one of the silent behaviors that keep people stuck. But what's even more powerful is how habits like these get wired into your brain. The power of daily habits. Habits are sneaky. They don't shout, they whisper. And the tiny ones, the daily habits that seem too small to matter, are the ones shaping your financial future without you even noticing. Spending $2 here, $3 there doesn't feel dangerous in the moment, but when it becomes routine, it silently builds your reality. And here's the catch. Whether that reality is wealth or struggle depends on which habit you're repeating. Rich people don't become rich overnight. They become rich. Daily, they automate their savings, invest regularly, track their spending. It's boring, it's not sexy, but it works. Just like brushing your teeth prevents cavities, checking your budget daily prevents financial decay. A small habit like reviewing your bank account every morning can train your brain to stay alert and in control. One student of mine started doing this, and within a few months, stopped overdrafting completely. And here's something you might relate to. People say they're bad with money, but that's often just the result of bad patterns. They're not hopeless, they're just on autopilot. But when you start replacing small, destructive habits with small, intentional ones, everything begins to shift, especially when you realize those habits are being driven by something deeper, a mindset you might not even know you have. Growth mindset versus scarcity mindset. Here's something most people never stop to think about. Money isn't just about math, it's about mindset. Someone with a growth mindset sees $1 as a seed, a start, a step forward. Someone with a scarcity mindset sees that same dollar as nothing, or worse, something to get rid of fast. It's like two people standing in front of the same door. One sees opportunity, the other sees a wall. The problem is that a scarcity mindset doesn't always scream, "I'm poor." Sometimes it whispers things like, "I'll never be able to save," or "I'm just not good with money." These beliefs become financial self-sabotage in disguise. I've met people making over $100,000 a year and still living paycheck to paycheck, not because they're lazy or reckless, but because deep down, they believe they'll always be broke. That belief controls every dollar. Now, think of the opposite. A person with a growth mindset might not make much yet, but they treat their money with purpose. They read books like The Psychology of Money or Rich Dad, Poor Dad. They listen to podcasts. They ask questions. They train their brain to look for solutions instead of excuses. And this shift, this invisible change, is what begins to rewrite their financial reality, especially when it comes to the small, daily choices that add up. The snowball effect. Money behaves like snow. When you pack a small snowball and start rolling it downhill, it grows. Slowly at first, almost imperceptible. But over time, it becomes something massive, impossible to ignore. The same happens with money. The name for this is compound interest. The person who understands this early treats even a single dollar with respect, because they know it can become $10, $100, or $1,000 in the future. Albert Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world, and it wasn't by accident. Imagine investing just $5 a day in an index fund, like the S&P 500. In 30 years, with an average return of 10% annually, you'd have over $150,000. That's without winning the lottery, without an inheritance, without a lucky break. Just consistency, just discipline, just vision. The problem is that those who don't understand this stay trapped in the "it's just a coffee" cycle. That's how money slips through your fingers, not in big expenses, but in small, daily concessions that seem harmless. And the most curious thing is that this snowball effect doesn't just work for good, it also works for bad. Because the same habit that builds wealth can, with the same rhythm, dig debt. And that's where something even more dangerous comes in. Self-control. Financial self-control. Financial self-control is like a muscle. If you don't exercise it, it weakens. The person who can't say no to a $10 purchase also won't be able to say no when they have $10,000 available. It's not about the amount, it's about the habit. And the most dangerous part is that lack of control starts where most people don't even notice, in small rewards that seem harmless, but become emotional addiction. Some people buy to feel better. Others spend to distract themselves or to prove something to someone. I used to be that person. I thought a gift to myself, just today, was deserved. But that just today became routine, and routine becomes debt. When I finally realized it, my credit cards were always at their limit, and I had no idea how I got there. Self-control starts with tiny, almost invisible decisions, like not opening the shopping app just to take a look. Want to train this muscle? Start with small challenges. Go 7 days without buying anything non-essential. Write down every urge to spend and the emotional reason behind it. Replace the purchase with a walk, reading, or a conversation. It sounds simple, but it changes everything. Because ultimately, self-control is what will protect you from the next big financial enemy. Immediate reward. Immediate reward versus future reward. The human brain is wired for survival, not wealth. That's why we crave instant gratification. It feels safe. It feels good. It feels right. When someone sees $1, their brain whispers, use it now, enjoy it now, worry about tomorrow later. But wealthy people have trained their brains to think differently. They've learned to delay gratification, to choose the future reward over the immediate pleasure. And that's not just about money, it's about rewiring. How you make decisions in every area of life. Studies show that children who can wait for 2 marshmallows instead of eating 1 immediately tend to be more successful in life. The same principle applies to adults with money. The person who can skip the daily $4 coffee and invest it instead is training their brain for bigger financial decisions. They're building what psychologists call delayed gratification muscle. It's the difference between thinking I want this now and I want financial freedom more. Here's a trick that changed my perspective completely. Every time you want to buy something non-essential, ask yourself, is this purchase bringing me closer to my future self or further away? A $20 impulse buy might seem harmless, but multiply that by 52 weeks. That's over $1,000 a year that could be working for you instead of against you. And speaking of working for you, there's a practical way to start building this habit. Even if you're starting with almost nothing. How to start this habit with little money, though. Beautiful thing about building wealth is that you don't need a lot of money to start, you just need to start. Even if you're living paycheck to paycheck, there's probably loose change somewhere in your life. Maybe it's the $2 you spend on a soda, or the $5 on a subscription you forgot. The goal isn't to become rich overnight. It's to train your brain to think like someone who values money, even when it's just pocket change. Start with what I call the $1 challenge. Every day find $1 that you would normally spend on something unnecessary and put it aside instead. It could be skipping the candy bar at checkout, bringing lunch from home, or walking instead of taking an Uber for short distances. Open a separate savings account. Many banks let you start with just $25 and transfer that $1 daily. In a year, you'll have $365 plus interest. It's your emergency fund starter kit. But here's the real magic. It's not about the money. It's about the identity shift. When you start treating small amounts with respect, you begin seeing yourself as someone who's in control of their finances. That confidence grows. Soon, you're tracking your expenses, researching investment apps like Acorns or Stash, maybe even reading about index funds. The person who saves $1 today becomes the person who invests $100 tomorrow. This simple habit can transform ordinary people into financially free individuals. Real examples. Let me tell you about Maria. single mom from Texas, who started with 50 cents a day. She worked at a grocery store, made minimum wage, and had 2 kids to feed. Every day, instead of buying a candy bar during her break, she put that money in a jar. After a year, she had enough to open her first investment account. Today, 15 years later, she owns 3 rental properties. Not because she got lucky, because she understood that small, consistent actions compound over time. Then there's David, a college student who started investing his lunch money. Instead of buying a $12 meal on campus, he'd pack a sandwich and invest the difference in low-cost index funds through his phone app. By the time he graduated, he had over $8,000 in his investment account. While his classmates were drowning in debt, he was already building wealth. The habit he formed in college became the foundation for his financial independence by age 35. These aren't superhuman people with special advantages. They're ordinary folks who made an extraordinary decision to treat every dollar like it mattered. They understood something that most people miss. Wealth isn't built through grand gestures or get-rich schemes. It's built $1 at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time. And the best part? You can start building that same foundation right now, with whatever you have in your pocket today. Conclusion. So here's the reality check. You now know something that 90% of people will never understand. You know that wealth isn't built by accident, by luck, or by some secret formula. It's built by making the right choice with $1, then doing it again tomorrow and the day after that. The question isn't whether this works. The question is whether you'll actually do it. Right now, you have 2 paths in front of you. Path number 1. You close this video, go back to your normal routine, and nothing changes. You keep treating small money like it doesn't matter. In 5 years from now, you're still wondering why you're stuck in the same financial situation. Path number 2. You take action today. You start the $1 challenge. You begin treating every dollar with respect. You choose the future version of yourself over the instant gratification of today. Which path are you going to choose? And here's what I really want to know. What's the one small expense you're going to cut starting today? Is it that daily coffee? The subscription you forgot about? The impulse purchases at checkout? Drop a comment below and tell me your plan. Because when you write it down, you're making a commitment to yourself and to everyone watching. Don't let this be just another video you watched. Let this be the moment your financial life changed direction. If you're serious about transforming your relationship with money, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're just getting started. Every week I share strategies that schools never taught you about building real wealth. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Don't let them down.